I'd like to welcome you all here today for the Dublin West Sinn Féin welcomes you all to the first anniversary of IRA volunteer Séamus Hazlett. I will call now for a minute silence for the lowering of the tricolour. I would like to call now Rose Hogan to lay a wreath on behalf of the Republican movement, Dublin Sinn Féin. We'll call now on Dublin West TD Paul Donnelly to read a poem written by Hugh P. Hazlett and attributed to volunteer Séamus Hazlett.
Both to wife in Ireland he was wed. He suffered pains on hunger-strike bed. Now unbelievably, it's his anniversary. He was the enemy's huge adversary. Listen to the wind on the Glenchain Pass. Blows in to genuflect that Sunday Mass. Here he lies where Ben Brothers smiles, where young brides walk down the aisles. The river road trickles around town. There's no place here for the British crown. His flag was orange, white and green. He held no loyalty to emperor nor queen. And his endurances will soon prevail, far from the plains of the Curragh jail, from where he was promptly sprung, a land where young Kevin Barry was hung. This summer morning we stand and reflect, a soldier whom we love and respect. Your grandchildren will history read, learn you were planted a freedom seed. A seed that's now ripening in bloom, the peace process in glorious June. Farewell, Ur Daddy, you were some man. Salute from Ogley and Cumann na mBan.
Call now on Alan Donnelly, a good friend and comrade of Shimmy's, to say a few words.
Thanks, Declan. Just to say, it's a real honour for me to stand here before you as we gather to remember our friend and comrade and stalwart of the Republican movement, volunteer James Hazlett, on the first anniversary of his death. I want to welcome James' wife Nora and members of his family and thank them for joining us today on this solemn occasion. It's hard to believe that a year has passed already since we lost Séamus, and it's a real honour for me to get to spend some time with him in the hospice in the hours leading up to his passing. My memory of that visit is that he was resolute, he was alert, unafraid. He was very, very happy being surrounded by his family and his loved ones. A fighter to the very end. We make a point of gathering here today because this is what Republicans do. We remember our rebel dead. We make a point of educating the next generation about the sacrifices of those who went before us. Born in Dungiven, County Derry in 1950, James lived a normal youthful life like thousands of others of his generation. In his teenage years, he knew that something wasn't right in his country. Catholics were deprived of housing, couldn't get jobs, and were to be kept in their place as second-class citizens by the old Orange State. Although his parents were nationalists, neither had any obvious connections to the Republican movement. At the age of 19, he left home to find work in Dublin. And the first person to be killed in this phase of the conflict is recorded as being 67-year-old Francis McCluskey. He was savagely beaten to death by the RUC on Dungiven's Main Street on the 14th of July 1969, just 2 weeks after James's 19th birthday. 3 days later, on the 17th of July, Sammy Devaney died from injuries he sustained in an RUC attack on his home in Derry in April of that year. By the age of 20, James had enlisted as a volunteer in the ranks of the Provisional IRA in Dublin. The split had happened in December 1969, so he would have been amongst the first of those to join the IRA at the time. He spent his 21st birthday on remand in Mountjoy Jail. Months later, he was on a hunger strike in Portlaoise prison before being moved to the Curragh camp. But the Free State couldn't hold this young Derry man. Having been sentenced to 6 years for his part in a raid on the Tullamore gun shop, James was now on the run, having escaped from the Curragh with 6 other comrades in October of 1972. He immediately reported back to the IRA and spent the next 5 years on active service while also training scores of other IRA volunteers in camps all over the northwest Donegal. And it was in Donegal that he met his beloved Nora, and after a brief courtship, they secretly got married at 10 o'clock on the evening of 22nd of June 1977 in the presence of just 2 other people, before escaping to Manchester overnight to escape capture and arrest. Nora and Séamus started a family in Manchester where their first 3 sons were born, and they returned to Dungiven in early 1981. Nora gave birth to 3 more sons, and by 1989 the family had settled here in Mulhuddart, just up the road there. Dungiven's loss was our gain, as the Hazlett clan have played a very prominent role in building Sinn Féin to become the electoral force that it is today in Dublin West. And then, such as their modesty, they wouldn't want me mentioning that today and calling out, insisting that this is all a team effort. And of course, it continues to be a team effort and a collective effort to build a part in Dublin West. James had a sharp political mind. He knew there was a time for war, but he also knew that war was only a means to an end. His comrade Declan Cairns from South Armagh, who was on the escape with him from the Curragh, once said, "We need a strong political party, because when this war is over, we will need to sit down and talk with the enemy. We don't want our hard work to fall into the hands of others. We don't want a 32 county Free State. We want a republic." This November marks Michael's 50th anniversary, having been killed in action against the RUC in November 1973, and we'll also pay tribute to Michael McFaul, James' comrades here today. James and his comrades did a hard work all those years ago, so none of us would have to. They'd done all the heavy lifting. He was an IRA volunteer, a prisoner of war, a hunger striker, a jailbreaker, on the run, a training officer, an intelligence officer, a Sinn Féin activist, and an election worker here in Dublin West. Now that's some CV for any man to have. But he was also Nora's husband. He was a dad to the 6 lads, a granddad, son, a brother, and an uncle. He was also our comrade and our friend, and he continues to inspire us hugely to this day. On Easter Monday 2022, 9 weeks before James passed away, we held a commemoration here at the monument, and although gravely ill, James laid the wreath that day and gave the army salute. We brought him here to this spot on this very day last year and dressed his coffin with the tricolour before carrying him to his family home up the road. The best memorial to James and his comrades is the United Ireland that they sacrificed so much for. We must redouble our efforts to build Sinn Féin to become an even bigger electoral force here in the Taoiseach constituency. It's my great honour to inform you all here today that we propose to name the Sinn Féin Cumann in Little Pays Ongar the volunteer James Hazlett Cumann. Members of that coming for decades to come will learn of who James Hazlett was and will keep his memory alive. We will commission a banner, his picture on it, his name proudly emblazoned on it, and we will carry it proudly at commemorations all over this island so that others can learn of him and remember him. So thank you, James, for everything. Thanks for your service, for your activism, for your sacrifice, for your loyalty and for your inspiration. Our pledge here today is to finish the job and deliver that United Ireland that you and so many others gave so much for. On public to you. Good morning.
I would like to call now Séamus Hazlett to say a few words on the behalf of the Hazlett family.
Thanks everybody for turning up today. I only got wind of this yesterday. Declan called me and asked me to speak to Mum and speak to the rest of the family and just make sure that we wouldn't have any issue with doing this. And we didn't, of course, give it even a moment's thought. It's huge, it's a massive honour for us as a family that this wreath laying and this commemoration in effect will happen today. And then to learn now just from Alan's speech that the local organisation want to name one of the branches, one of the coming in Dublin West after Dad is truly one of the biggest honours I think that the party and movement could bestow on us as a family and to keep Dad's memory alive. So look at Gurumita Mahugwiv, there's not a great deal more to say. Today is Dad's anniversary. You know, it's every sort of last couple of days, all the sort of memories come back, but you know, the one thing that got us through Dad's wake, his funeral, was just the immense support we got from our friends, neighbours, comrades, and we were just filled with pride, genuinely, and that helped just so much. I know it helped Mum, it helped us, yeah, look, thank you very much. And I'm told this could be an annual event, so put it in your diaries, and maybe we'll see you again next year. Thanks very much.
That's lovely, Séamus, thanks very much. And now we'll just finish off with the national anthem, and we'll call June Cairns to sing the national anthem.
Well done, Declan. Thanks, Jude.
That's lovely, folks. Thanks very much for turning out on this memorous occasion for volunteer James Hazlett. Hopefully we see you all next year, and we'll keep it going as a memory of Séamus. Thanks very much again.